The meeting room smells like recycled air and fear. My manager doesn't look at me when he reads the message from his tablet. His voice is flat, corporate trained, the kind of tone they teach you when you have to fire someone who's been here longer than you've been alive. Mateo Cardoso, employee number 48291 CZ3, effective at midnight tonight. Your employment contract with Arimax Global is hereby terminated due to workforce optimization. Your severance package includes 18 months of base salary and transition credits, redeemable exclusively within authorized transition zones. Additionally, all residence, health, and atmospheric access privileges associated with your employment status will expire at 0 hours. Associated. That's the word they use when they mean air. I built the filtration ducts in this building in 2041. I crawled through vents so narrow my shoulders bled. I taught 19 new hires how to read pressure monitors like heartbeats. I missed my daughter's 8th birthday because a compressor failed, and 8,000 people needed breathable air by dawn. 30 years. Cancelled in 90 seconds. You have 24 hours to vacate your residence and exit Clean Zone 3, he continues, still not meeting my eyes. Corporate security will assist with relocation if necessary. Thank you for your service. He stands. The meeting is over. I walk out into the corridor, and the display panels lining the walls are already updating. My employee photo, blue uniform, tired smile, flickers once, then vanishes from the maintenance department roster, replaced by a spinning Arimax logo and the slogan, "Breathing Together." When I get home, the message is waiting on our apartment wall screen, glowing red against the pale blue evening light filtering through the dome overhead. Warning: your residence authorization in Clean Zone 3 will expire in 23 hours, 41 minutes. Remaining within the zone beyond this period constitutes unauthorized atmospheric resource consumption and is subject to immediate enforcement action. Unauthorized air consumption. My daughter Lena is 19. She was born inside this dome. Her lungs have never known anything but HEPA-filtered oxygen, air scrubbed clean by the machines I spent 3 decades maintaining. Out there, beyond the shimmering translucent edge of the clean zone, the smog is so thick you can taste copper on your tongue after 10 minutes. People survive, they tell us. They adapt. They sell black market filters and canned oxygen and stories about rain that didn't burn. But Lena has asthma. The medication that keeps her breathing costs 40 times more outside the dome, when you can find it at all. I gave Arimax my back, my knees, my youth. I believe the company line. We were saving lives, building a future, creating sanctuary from the climate collapse that turned the sky into poison. I wore the blue uniform with pride. Now, with 23 hours left, I'm standing at my window watching the faint silver line marking the dome's edge, and I understand something brutal. The moment they cancel your contract, the system stops counting your life as worth the oxygen. So here I am, holding my termination notice in one hand and my daughter's emergency inhaler in the other, with a choice tightening in my chest worse than any toxic air ever could. Do I leave quietly for the suffocating outer belts like a good ex-employee? Or do I break the system that decided my right to breathe ended the day I stopped being profitable? If you think your job is just a paycheck and not the invisible contract that decides whether you deserve to survive, stay with me. Because what happened next changed everything, and it started 30 years ago, when I helped build the cage I'm trapped in now. If you want to hear more stories like this, stories that hold up a mirror to the world we're building right now, subscribe and let us know. Your support keeps us writing the uncomfortable truths no one else will say. I need to go back. Not to yesterday, when my manager read my death sentence from a tablet. Further, to 2038, when I was 24 and stupid enough to believe corporations could save the world. The air was already bad then, thick with particulates, yellow haze settling over the city like a curtain. You wore masks outside, sure, but you could still breathe without one if you had to. It was uncomfortable, not deadly. The government kept promising regulations, carbon caps, international agreements. We kept believing them. Arimax was just another industrial ventilation company back then, competing for contracts to filter office buildings and factories. I was fresh out of technical school, proud of my certification in atmospheric systems engineering. When they offered me a job installing HVAC units, I took it without hesitation. I didn't know I was joining the company that would own the sky. The collapse happened slowly, then all at once. Between 2030 and 2045, every major city in the global south became unlivable. Children in Jakarta were dying of lung cancer at age 7. In São Paulo, respiratory disease became the leading cause of death. Governments were bankrupt, drowning in climate disaster debt, unable to fund the infrastructure needed to clean the air. That's when Arimax made its move. In 2048, they unveiled the prototype. A translucent atmospheric dome spanning 12 square kilometers, purifying air for 300,000 people. The technology was breathtaking, literally. Modular filtration towers, carbon scrubbing chambers, pressurized circulation. They called it the Clean Zone Initiative. The pitch was simple. Governments couldn't afford to build these domes, but Arimax could. All they wanted in return was a 99-year contract to manage atmospheric resources. By 2055, 47 nations had signed. I was there when they built the first dome over what became Clean Zone 3. I was 33, promoted to crew supervisor, leading a team of 18 installing the main circulation ducts. We worked 16-hour shifts for 2 years straight. My hands were permanently scarred from metal edges and chemical burn. One night, deep in the substructure, I was reviewing the filtration capacity specs with the chief engineer. The numbers didn't make sense. Why are we only installing enough capacity for 60% of the current population? I asked him, pointing at the blueprint spread across a folding table. We could put in 30% more capacity right now. Same footprint, just denser arrays. He glanced around, then leaned closer. His voice dropped. Orders from corporate. We build for necessary capacity, not possible capacity. But, Mateo, don't ask questions you don't want answered. You have a daughter. Keep your head down and do the work. I didn't push it. I told myself it was about cost efficiency, phased expansion, responsible planning. I was lying to myself. The system was designed for scarcity from the beginning. By 2060, there were 22 clean zones across South America alone, housing 80 million people. The domes became cities unto themselves, schools, hospitals, corporate headquarters, all under filtered skies. Outside, in the outer belts, 300 million people choked on air that tasted like burning plastic. The division was simple. If you worked for a corporation managing a clean zone, you got residential access. Your family breathed clean. Your kids grew up healthy. You had healthcare, education, safety. If you didn't have a contract, you suffocated slowly in the toxic sprawl, buying bootleg filters that barely worked and oxygen canisters cut with nitrogen. The Protocol for Efficient Air Management, ratified globally in 2055, made it law. Breathable air was a limited resource, requiring rational allocation to productive economic contributors. They didn't call it what it was, the privatization of survival. And I helped build it. I installed the ducts. I calibrated the sensors. I trained the next generation of maintenance workers. I wore the blue uniform and smiled in the company newsletters and told myself I was saving lives. I was. Just not everyone's. The realization hits me now. Standing in my apartment with 21 hours left on the clock, I knew. Deep down I always knew. I just didn't want to see it. Because seeing it would have meant admitting that my comfortable life, my clean air apartment, my daughter's healthy lungs, my middle-class stability, was built on a system designed to let millions die. And now that system has decided I'm no longer useful. My wristband buzzes, another automated message. Reminder, 21 hours, 14 minutes remaining. Prepare for relocation. Transition zone housing available upon request. Transition zones. The corporate euphemism for the suffocation buffer between the clean zones and the outer belts. Places where the air is partially filtered, just enough to keep you alive while you burn through your severance credits paying rent to Arimax subsidiary landlords. They don't let you go, they just bleed you slower. I hear the door unlock. Lena comes in, backpack slung over one shoulder, still wearing her university uniform, gray-blue with the Arimax University patch stitched over the heart. She's been at the library all day. She doesn't know yet. She sees my face. Dad? What happened? I open my mouth to answer, but the words stick in my throat. How do I tell her that in 21 hours, we'll both be exiled to a place where every breath hurts? Or that she has to choose between staying here without me, or following me into the poison? The wall screen flashes red again. 20 hours, 58 minutes remaining. Lena stares at it, then at me. "No," she whispers. "No, they can't. You've been here 30 years. You built this place." "Workforce optimization," I say, the words tasting like ash. "AI-driven efficiency. 1,800 of us, all let go in the same wave." Her eyes fill with tears, but she blinks them back. She's always been stronger than me. There has to be something we can do. An appeal. A transfer. Something. I want to believe her. I want to believe the system has mercy built into it somewhere. But I know better. I built the system, and mercy was never part of the design. At 06 WARM, I log into the Arimax Employee Services portal and submit a request for contract review. The automated system cheerfully informs me I've been placed in a virtual queue. Current wait time: 6 hours. I wait. Lena sits beside me at the kitchen table, laptop open, searching for legal precedents, advocacy groups, anyone who's successfully fought a termination. Her fingers fly across the keyboard, desperation fueling every search query. Outside the window, Clean Zone 3 is waking up. The artificial dawn cycle is brightening the translucent dome overhead, simulating sunrise with LED arrays that never quite look real. People are walking to work, swiping their corporate wristbands at transit gates, breathing freely because their employee numbers are still active in the system. For now. At 11:47, a notification pops up on my screen. "You are now being connected to a support representative." The video feed loads. It's not a person. It's a generated avatar. Smooth, androgynous, smiling with algorithmic precision. "Hello, Matteo. I'm here to assist you with your employment termination inquiry. How can I help you today?" The voice is warm, synthetic, designed to sound empathetic without actually feeling anything. "I'm requesting a review of my termination," I say, keeping my voice steady. "I've been with Arimax for 30 years. I've never had a disciplinary action. My performance reviews were always exemplary. I want to understand why I was selected for optimization and what options I have for reinstatement or transfer." The avatar's smile doesn't waver. "I understand this is a difficult time. However, workforce optimization decisions are determined by algorithmic efficiency analysis and are final and irrevocable per your employment contract, Section 14.7. Your termination was processed in accordance with all applicable regulations." I'm not asking about regulations. I'm asking for human review. All termination decisions undergo comprehensive review prior to implementation. Your case was evaluated and approved. Is there anything else I can assist you with today? I feel Lena's hand on my shoulder squeezing. Connect me with a human supervisor. Someone with authority to make exceptions. I'm fully authorized to address all employment termination inquiries. However, if you'd like to submit a formal appeal, you can access the appeals portal through your employee dashboard. Please note that processing time for appeals is currently 90 to 120 days, and filing an appeal does not suspend termination effective date or associated privilege expirations. 90 days. I have 18 hours. Then expedite it. Emergency review. Medical hardship. My daughter has a chronic respiratory condition. She requires continuous access to filtered air and medication only available inside the clean zone. The avatar tilts its head, a programmed gesture of concern. "I'm sorry to hear about your daughter's condition. Unfortunately, medical dependencies do not qualify as grounds for termination review under current policy. However, she may be eligible for transitional medical support through Arimax Health Bridge services, available in select transition zones. Would you like me to send you an information packet?" She's a student at Arimax University. She's 19. She's never lived outside the dome. You're telling me there's no provision for dependent family members? Dependent coverage is contingent upon active parental employment status. Upon contract termination, dependents age 18 and above are classified as independent residents and must secure their own residential authorization through employment, enrollment, or alternative qualification pathways. Alternative qualification pathways. Corporate speak for marry someone with a contract, get lucky in the transfer lottery, or leave. "This is insane," Lena says, leaning into the camera's view. "He built your entire filtration infrastructure. He's been loyal for 3 decades. You can't just—" "I understand your frustration," the avatar interrupts gently. "However, employment with Arimax is at will and subject to operational requirements. The company is grateful for Mateo's service and wishes him well in his future endeavors. Is there anything else I can assist you with today? I close the laptop before I put my fist through the screen. Lena is shaking, not with fear, with rage. They don't care, she says, voice tight. They don't care at all. No, I agree. They don't. Because caring is inefficient. Caring costs money. Caring requires seeing employees as people instead of line items on a resource allocation spreadsheet. My wristband buzzes. 16 hours, 22 minutes remaining. Lena stands abruptly, grabbing her jacket. Where are you going? The university, my academic advisor. She has connections in corporate HR. Maybe she can do something. Lena, I have to try, Dad. I can't just sit here and watch the clock count down. She's out the door before I can argue. I'm alone with the countdown and the growing certainty that this is how the system kills you. Not with violence, but with bureaucracy. Not with cruelty, but with efficiency. They don't throw you out. They just make sure there's nowhere left to stay. At 13:30, my tablet pings with a new message. Not from Arimax Corporate. From an unlisted sender. The message is encrypted, just 2 lines. They lied about the AI. I need to show you something. Vera Solis. We worked together for 12 years before she was let go in the 2066 optimization wave. I haven't heard from her since she was exiled to the Outer Belts. If she's reaching out now, it means she knows something. Something they don't want us to know. I meet Vera in a place that doesn't officially exist. The coordinates she sent lead to a maintenance access point on the edge of Clean Zone 3, a narrow service corridor beneath the filtration arrays where only techs with legacy clearance can go. My wristband still recognizes the lock, even though my contract is dead. Muscle memory from 3 decades guides me through the warren of ducks and catwalks. She's waiting in a small equipment room lit by a single flickering LED panel. She looks older than I remember, grayer, thinner, with a rawness to her skin I recognize immediately. Prolonged exposure to unfiltered air leaves marks. Chemical burns, particulate scarring, the slow erosion of breathing poison. Mateo, she says, and her voice is rougher too, scraped raw. I'm sorry it's you this time. You said they lied, about the AI. She nods, pulling a battered tablet from her jacket. The screen is cracked but functional. After they fired me, I spent 6 months just trying to survive. But then I started asking questions. Why did they let go of 1,800 of us in 2066? We were experienced, efficient. We knew the systems better than anyone. The official line was AI automation, said the new neural maintenance systems could do our jobs better and cheaper. That's what they told us this time too. It's a lie. She taps the screen, pulling up a dense wall of technical schematics and data logs. 3 months ago, someone inside Arimax leaked these to a network in the Outer Belts. It took us weeks to verify, but it's real. Look. I lean closer. The documents are internal engineering reports, stamped confidential, dated over the past 5 years. Vera highlights a section in red. This is the actual atmospheric capacity analysis for Clean Zone 3. According to Arimax's own engineers, the current filtration infrastructure can support 11.2 million people at full breathable air standards. I blink at the number. That can't be right. We're housing 8 million now. That would mean we have 40% excess capacity, Vera finishes. Zone 3 alone could bring in 3.2 million more people tomorrow without building a single new tower. And it's the same across every clean zone globally. They're running at 60 to 65% capacity everywhere. My stomach drops. Then why? Because scarcity is profitable. Her voice is bitter, exhausted. If everyone who wants clean air can have it, it stops being a privilege. It becomes a right. And rights don't generate 40% profit margin. She swipes to another document, a presentation deck marked Executive Board Only, dated 3 months ago. The title slide reads, Optimization Strategy 2068, Workforce Reduction and Margin Enhancement. I read through the bullet points, each one a knife twisting deeper. Reduce workforce by 22% across all zones. Target employees age 50 plus with 20 plus years tenure, highest salary tier. Automate 60% of maintenance tasks, public narrative. Actual automation rate, 18%. Remaining tasks redistributed to remaining staff. Projected cost savings, $4.7 billion annually. Projected margin increase, 11%. There's a chart on the next slide showing the correlation between residential expulsions and stock performance. Every time they fire a wave of workers and exile them to the outer belts, Arimax's share price spikes. They're not replacing us with AI, I whisper. They're just cutting us to boost profits. And blaming it on automation so nobody questions it, Vera says. Meanwhile, the remaining workers pick up the slack for no extra pay, too terrified of being next to complain. I think about the young tech who'll inherit my workload. Probably 2 or 3 of them, splitting my responsibilities, earning half what I made. Grateful just to have a contract. Too scared to push back. The system doesn't need AI to replace us. It just needs us to believe we're replaceable. There's more, Vera says quietly. She pulls up another file, this one a scanned government contract. The Protocol for Efficient Air Management, the law that made all of this legal. Look at the signatures. I scan the bottom of the document. 47 nations, hundreds of officials. And there, buried in the appendix, a list of private sector advisory partners who helped draft the legislation. Minister Elias Moncada's name appears 17 times. Next to his name, in smaller print, advisory compensation, 12% equity stake, Arimax Global Holdings. He owns part of the company. I breathe. They all do. Every minister, every regulatory official who signed off on privatized air. They were bought before the ink dried. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed, to concentrate wealth, eliminate costs, and ensure that survival itself is a commodity you can lose the moment you stop being profitable. Vera closes the tablet. In 4 days, we're planning something. A coordinated action. 400 ex-employees, all fired in the last 2 years. We're going to cross back into the clean zones simultaneously, publicly, and refuse to leave until they acknowledge what they've done. We're calling it Free Air Day. That's suicide. Corporate security will extract you within hours. Maybe. But if we do it in 20 zones at once, with media coverage, with families watching, they'll have to respond. They'll have to explain why there's room for us, and they're choosing to let us suffocate. She looks at me, and I see the question before she asks it. You still have access codes. Legacy clearance. You know the systems better than anyone. We need someone who can shut down security protocols long enough for us to get inside. You're asking me to sabotage Arimax. I'm asking you to stop them from killing us. My wristband buzzes. 14 hours, 9 minutes remaining. 14 hours until I'm exiled to the place Vera is living now. Until Lena has to choose between staying without me or following me into the poison. I think about the documents Vera just showed me. The lies, the manipulation, the 3.2 million people who could be breathing clean air right now if the company cared more about lives than stock prices. I think about the duct I installed in 2041, the one that still bears my signature and permanent marker on the inner seam. I built this cage. Maybe it's time I opened the door. Send me the details, I say. Lena comes home at 19:30, face flushed, eyes red. The advisor couldn't help, she says, dropping into a chair. She made calls, sent messages. Nobody would override the termination. I nod. I expected that. But she told me something. Lena's voice cracks. She said they announced the optimization 3 weeks ago. Internal memo to department heads. They knew this was coming, Dad. They knew and nobody said anything. 3 weeks. Lena, I saw the memo. She pulls out her phone, hands shaking. One of my professors forwarded it to the student council. He wanted us to understand how corporate restructuring works, how efficient it is. She shows me the screen. The memo is clinical, dispassionate. Phase 2. Optimization targeting legacy maintenance personnel will proceed as scheduled. Anticipated workforce reduction. 1,047 employees across zones. 1,005. Transition support packages will be offered in accordance with standard protocols. What dated 3 weeks ago. You knew, I say quietly. Lena's face crumples. I thought, the professor said they always do reallocations, that they move senior employees to training or advisory roles. I thought you'd be safe. I thought... She's crying now, the words breaking apart. I didn't want to scare you if it wasn't real. I thought they'd take care of you. I pull her into a hug. She's shaking. They lied to you, I tell her. The system lied. It's designed to make you believe it's fair, that it rewards loyalty, that if you work hard enough, you'll be safe. I'm so sorry, Dad. I should have told you. You believed in the system. That's not your fault. That's what they built it to do. Make you believe. We sit in silence for a long moment, the countdown glowing on the wall. 12 hours, 41 minutes. Then Lena pulls back, wiping her eyes. There's something else. The professor who showed us the memo, he's part of a group. Faculty and students who've been documenting corporate abuses. He said if we ever needed help, he could connect us with people on the outside. The outside? The outer belts. There's a network. People organizing, sharing resources. He said they're planning something big. Vera's operation. The pieces are connecting faster than I expected. Did he give you a name? Lena nods. Vera Solis. Of course. Vera didn't just reach out to me. She's been building a movement. And now my daughter is part of it. Lena, listen to me. What Vera is planning, it's dangerous. If corporate security identifies you as part of it, you'll lose your university enrollment, your residential status, everything. I already lost everything, Dad. They're taking you. They're taking our home. What do I have left to lose? She sounds like me 30 years ago, before I learned to keep my head down and stop asking questions. Before I became complicit. My tablet pinged. Another message from Vera, this time with an encrypted video file attached. I open it. The video shows a small room, crowded with people, maybe 30, all wearing the faded remnants of corporate uniforms. Arimax mostly, but I spot patches from other companies too. Zone management firms, logistics corps, all of them ex-employees, all of them exiled. Vera is standing at the front, speaking directly to the camera. If you're watching this, you've just been fired. You're scared. You're angry. You're wondering how a company you gave your life to could throw you away like broken equipment. Murmurs of agreement from the room. They told you it's automation, AI optimization, efficiency. They told you the system is fair, that if you worked hard, you'd be safe. They lied. She holds up the same tablet she showed me earlier. We have proof. Internal documents showing excess capacity in every clean zone. Proof that the AI replacement narrative is a cover for profit-driven layoffs. Proof that government officials own stakes in the companies they're supposed to regulate. The camera pans across the crowd. I recognize faces. People I worked with, trained, trusted. In 4 days, we're taking that proof public. We're crossing back into the clean zones, all of us together. We're going to stand in the plazas and the transit hubs and the corporate lobbies and make them see what they've done. We're going to demand what should have been ours all along, the right to breathe without a contract. Vera looks directly into the camera. This isn't about revenge. It's about survival. It's about making sure the next wave of firings doesn't happen. It's about proving that air is not a commodity. It's a human right. The video ends. Lena is staring at the screen, then at me. Are you going to help them? I think about the countdown, about the cage I built, about the 2 million people suffocating outside while I lived comfortably inside, telling myself I was just doing my job. Yes, I say. I am. Then I'm coming with you. Lena. No, Dad. You don't get to protect me anymore. I'm part of this now. We both are. She's right. The moment they fired me, the moment they put that countdown on our door, they made us enemies of the system. We might as well fight back. At 08 Sao, with less than 12 hours remaining, someone knocks on our door. Not corporate security. Not an automated reminder. A woman in a sharp gray suit, platinum blonde hair cut with geometric precision, wearing a gold Arimax brooch on her lapel. Mateo Cardoso? Her voice is smooth, professional. I'm Helena Voss, Regional Director of HR and Zone Management. May I come in? I should say no. I let her in anyway. Helena moves through our apartment with the confidence of someone who's been in 1,000 identical units. Someone who sees homes as data points in a residential allocation database. She doesn't sit until I gesture to the couch. I'll be direct, she says, folding her hands in her lap. Your termination was processed correctly, and I'm not here to reverse it. However, I am here to discuss a resolution that benefits everyone involved. I'm listening. Your daughter, Lena. She's a promising student, top 15% of her cohort. Her professors speak highly of her work ethic and technical aptitude. Helena's smile is measured, calculated. It would be a shame for her education to be interrupted due to circumstances beyond her control. Lena appears in the doorway, arms crossed. "What are you offering?" Helena turns to her, and I see something flicker in her expression. Recognition, maybe, or memory. "A full scholarship for the remainder of your undergraduate program, plus a guaranteed internship with Aramax Engineering upon graduation. Housing in the university residential complex, independent of parental employment status. Full medical benefits, including respiratory care." Lena's jaw tightens. "And in exchange? Your father leaves quietly. No appeals, no media contact, no participation in unsanctioned organizing activities. He accepts the transition package, relocates to an approved transition zone, and signs a comprehensive non-disclosure agreement regarding his employment and termination. And if he doesn't?" Helena's smile doesn't change, but her eyes go cold. "Then your residential authorization expires with his. You'll both be classified as unauthorized residents subject to immediate extraction and relocation to Outer Belt provisional housing. Your university enrollment will be automatically suspended. Your access to specialized medication will be complicated." There it is. The system's favorite weapon. Leverage the people you love against you. "You're blackmailing us," I say. "I'm offering your daughter a future," Helena corrects. "One that doesn't involve suffocating in a makeshift shelter while struggling to afford black market inhalers." Lena steps forward, eyes blazing. "I'm not staying here while my father is exiled for the crime of getting old. I'm not going to pretend this system is fair or just or anything other than murder with paperwork." Helena stands, smoothing her suit. "That's unfortunate. You're making an emotional decision that will have lifelong consequences." "No," Lena says. "I'm making a moral one. For a moment. Just a moment." Something cracks in Helena's perfect corporate mask. She looks at Lena, really looks at her, and I see something almost like pain in her eyes. Then it's gone. "You have until midnight to reconsider," Helena says, heading for the door. "For what it's worth, I hope you choose wisely." She leaves. Lena collapses onto the couch, shaking with adrenaline. "Did that really just happen?" "Yes." "They're really going to throw us both out if I don't abandon you." "Yes." She laughs, a sharp, bitter sound. "I spent 4 years studying to work for these people. I wrote essays about corporate social responsibility. I believed the recruitment speeches about building a sustainable future together. I know. It's all lies, isn't it? Every single word." I sit beside her. "Not lies, exactly. They believe it, they've convinced themselves that profit and efficiency and optimization are the same thing as morality, that if the system works for them, it must be fair. That's worse than lying." "Yes, it is." My wristband buzzes. 10 hours, 34 minutes remaining. Lena takes a shaky breath. "What do we do now?" I think about Vera's video, about the 400 people organizing in the outer belts, about the proof we have that the system is built on artificial scarcity and deliberate cruelty. I think about the access codes I still have, the ones that could open doors or shut down security protocols or broadcast messages across every screen in Clean Zone 3. "We fight," I say. "Not just for us, for everyone they've exiled. For everyone they're going to exile next quarter, and the quarter after that." "How?" "I'm still figuring that out. But Vera has a plan, and I think I can make it bigger. Louder. Impossible to ignore." Lena nods slowly. "Then let's make it impossible to ignore." At 14 hours, I leave Clean Zone 3 for the first time in 30 years. The exit checkpoint is automated, efficient. I scan my wristband at the gate, and the system registers my departure with a cheerful chime. A screen displays a message. "Thank you for your service to Aramax Global. Safe travels." No guards, no questions. They don't need to stop you from leaving. The air outside does that. The first breath feels like swallowing glass. I'm wearing a basic filtration mask I bought from a vending machine at the checkpoint. The cheapest model, the kind that barely filters particulates and does nothing for chemical irritants. It's what most people in the outer belts use because it's all they can afford. It doesn't work. My throat burns. My eyes water. I can taste metal and petrochemicals on my tongue. Within 30 seconds, I'm coughing. This is what the world smells like when corporations don't profit from keeping you alive. I follow the coordinates Vera sent me, walking through streets that used to be suburbs before the air turned toxic. The buildings are still standing, crumbling, graffiti-stained, windows covered with plastic sheeting. But people still live here. Millions of them. Children play in the streets wearing colorful makeshift masks, their laughter muffled and strange. Vendors sell black market oxygen canisters from folding tables, prices scrawled on cardboard signs. A woman sits on a stoop, holding an inhaler to her child's mouth, counting breaths like precious currency. This is what efficiency looks like when humans are the cost being cut. Vera's meeting point is an old community center, half collapsed but still functional. Inside, the air is slightly better. Someone rigged an industrial fan with improvised filters. It's not clean, but it's breathable. The room is packed. Not 400 people. More like 600, maybe 700. Ex-employees from a dozen different corporations, wearing faded uniforms and makeshift masks. Some are old like me. Others are young, recent graduates who couldn't find contracts, gig workers whose temporary positions expired, families with small children who've never seen a blue sky. Vera sees me and pushes through the crowd. "You came. You knew I would." She grins, fierce and exhausted. Free Air Day is happening in 3 days. We've coordinated with groups in 18 other zones. Simultaneous entry at 10 Nalaus. We march to the central plazas. We display the documents. We make them see us. What if they don't see? What if corporate security just extracts everyone before media arrives? Then we do it again. And again. Until they can't ignore us. I look around the room, at the faces worn down by toxic air and systemic abandonment. I can do more than open gates, I say quietly. I can broadcast the proof directly. Every screen in Clean Zone 3, maybe more if I can access the central server. Live feed, simultaneous with the march. They can extract us, but they can't erase the truth once it's out. Vera's eyes widen. Can you really do that? I built the system. I know where the back doors are. She grabs my shoulders. Then we have a chance. A real chance. A man steps forward from the crowd, mid-30s, wearing a suit that's too clean for the outer belts. "I can help with that," he says. His voice is familiar, but I can't place it. Vera nods. "Mateo, this is Rian. He's our inside contact." Rian offers his hand. There's a faint scar at the base of his neck, almost hidden by his collar. "I work for Helena Voss," he says calmly. "Or I did, until I realized what we were really doing." I stare at him. "You're the leak. You sent the documents." "Yes, and I can get you into the central server facility. Security shift changes at 09:30 on the day of the march. You'll have 40 minutes. "Why are you helping us?" Ryan's expression hardens. "Because I grew up out here. Because Helena is my sister, and she left me behind when she got her corporate contract. Because I know exactly what this system does to people, and I'm done pretending it's acceptable." I look at Vera, at Ryan, at the 700 people filling this broken building, all of them betting their lives on the hope that the system can be forced to change. 3 days, I say. We bring it all down. At 21 SAR, the wall screen in our apartment lights up with a system override. No warning, no option to decline. It's a video message, broadcast simultaneously to every household in Clean Zone 3. Lena appears on screen, standing in a bright corporate studio, wearing her university uniform. Her face is calm, composed, every inch the model student. My heart stops. "My name is Lena Cardoso," she says, looking directly into the camera. "I'm a third-year environmental engineering student at Aramax University. Yesterday, my father, Mateo Cardoso, was terminated after 30 years of service. No. I want to say publicly, I support the workforce optimization program. I understand that corporations must make difficult decisions to remain sustainable. I'm grateful to Aramax for offering me an independent scholarship so that my education can continue." "No, Lena, what are you doing? My father is a good man, but he's part of a generation that doesn't understand modern efficiency models. The future belongs to those of us willing to adapt, to embrace change, to trust the systems that protect us." She smiles, and it looks real. I'm staying in Clean Zone 3. I'm moving forward. And I encourage anyone facing similar circumstances to do the same. Thank you, Arimax, for giving me this opportunity. The video ends. I'm staring at the blank screen, hands shaking. She took the deal. She chose safety over solidarity. Over me. I don't blame her. She's 19. She has her whole life ahead of her. Why should she sacrifice everything for a fight she didn't start? But it still feels like a knife in my chest. My tablet pinged. A message from an unknown sender. Text only. Dad, trust me. Play the video again. Watch the subtitles. L. I pull up the broadcast recording, enabling the accessibility subtitle track. Lena's words appear on screen as she speaks. My name is Lena Cardoso. I'm a third-year environmental engineering student at Arimax University. But underneath, in the subtitle text, there are errors, glitches, words that don't match what she's saying. I focus on the subtitle track, ignoring the audio. Central server, Building 7, Sector 4, security shift change, 0930, 40-minute window, Ryan coordinates, free air day, 3 days, broadcast everything. I'm with you, Dad. Always. I read it 3 times to make sure I'm not imagining it. She didn't betray me. She infiltrated them. The corporate video was her cover, her way of buying time and access while feeding us critical intel. My brilliant, terrifying daughter just played Helena Voss at her own game. I send a one-word reply. Received. 30 seconds later. Don't come back for me until it's done. Finish it. Make them see. Love you. I sit in the dark apartment, countdown glowing on the wall. 6 hours. 47 minutes remaining. And I understand something fundamental. This isn't about me anymore. It's about every parent who's had to choose between safety and dignity. Every child who's watched their family be discarded like broken machinery. Every person who's been told their life is only worth what a corporation says it's worth. We're going to make them see. All of them. At 23:30, I pack the few things I'm allowed to take. 1 bag, basic clothing, my work tablet. I don't pack sentiment. There's no room for it where I'm going. At 23:55, I stand at the window one last time, looking out at Clean Zone 3. The artificial sky is dimming to simulate night. LED stars flickering on in constellations that don't exist in nature. My daughter is somewhere out there, playing a dangerous game with people who see her as a data point. In 3 days, we'll either change the system or be crushed by it. At 23:59, my wristband vibrates one final time. Residential authorization expires in 60 seconds. Please proceed to the nearest exit checkpoint. I take off the wristband and set it on the kitchen counter. I don't need their permission to prove I deserve to breathe. At 000, the locks on my door disengage automatically. Red lights flicker above the frame, indicating unauthorized occupancy. I walk out. The hallway is empty. Nobody watches me leave. The system doesn't require witnesses, just compliance. At the building exit, a security officer scans the door's alert log and nods at me. Transition zone shuttle is at the corner. Need directions? No, I know where I'm going. I walk past the shuttle, past the checkpoint, toward the border where the air turns from blue to yellow to toxic brown. Toward the outer belts. Toward 700 people who refuse to disappear quietly. Toward 3 days that will decide whether breathing is a right or a privilege. Behind me, Clean Zone 3 glows like a promise the world couldn't keep. Ahead, the darkness smells like burning plastic and defiance. I keep walking. 3 days later, at 0930 exactly, 847 people cross into Clean Zone 3. We don't sneak. We don't hide. We walk through the main gates in broad daylight, wearing our faded corporate uniforms, holding printed copies of the leaked documents above our heads like shields. The biometric sensors scream. Alarms echo across the entry plaza. Corporate security mobilizes immediately. 50 officers in tactical gear, forming a barrier between us and the central plaza. But we don't stop. Vera is at the front, voice amplified through a battery-powered megaphone. We are former employees of Arimax Global. We were fired not because of automation, but because our experience made us expensive. We have proof that clean zones can house billions more people. We demand the right to breathe without a contract. Behind the security line, I see corporate employees stopping on their way to work, staring. Some are recording on their phones. Good. Record everything. While Vera leads the march, I peel off with Ryan, heading for Building 7. We're both wearing stolen maintenance uniforms, easy enough to acquire when you know the supply chain. Ryan's keycard gets us through the first 3 checkpoints. My legacy access codes handle the rest. By 0942, we're in the central server room, a cathedral of humming machines and fiber optic cables, the brain controlling every screen in Clean Zone 3. I connect my tablet to the main broadcast node. Once I start this, there's no stopping it, I tell Ryan. Good, he says. It's time people knew. I initiate the broadcast override. Every screen in Clean Zone 3, wall displays, transit monitors, corporate lobbies, residential units, cuts to the same feed, the leaked documents. Charts showing real atmospheric capacity versus reported capacity. Engineering reports proving that Clean Zone 3 alone could support 3.2 million additional residents. Financial statements revealing 40% profit margins built on artificial scarcity. Government contracts with Minister Moncada's signature and his 12% equity stake clearly highlighted. And then, the live feed from the plaza. 847 people standing in neat rows, holding their documents, facing the corporate security line. Children wearing makeshift masks. Elderly workers with oxygen canisters. Families holding hands. Vera's voice echoes across every speaker in the zone. My name is Vera Solis. I worked for Arimax for 23 years. 2 years ago, they fired me and told me it was because AI could do my job better. That was a lie. She holds up her tablet and the camera zooms in on the screen she's displaying. The internal memo detailing the 2066 optimization strategy. The AI replacement narrative was a cover for cost cutting. They fired us because our salaries were too high. They exiled us to the outer belts because letting us stay would reduce their profit margins by 11%. Around the plaza, I can see residential windows opening. People leaning out, watching. The corporate employees who were walking to work have stopped, forming a growing crowd. Vera continues. The air you breathe right now, this clean, filtered air, is not a limited resource. The technology exists to provide it to billions more people. Arimax chooses not to because scarcity is more profitable than abundance. On my tablet, I'm monitoring security communications. Alerts are flooding the system. Directors are screaming for someone to shut down the broadcast. But I built these systems. I know every failsafe, every override, every backdoor. They can't stop it. The broadcast switches to pre-recorded testimonials, ex-employees describing their lives in the outer belts. A mother holding her child who developed chronic respiratory disease at age 4. A 60-year-old man with chemical burns across his face from unfiltered air exposure. A young woman describing how her husband died waiting for a black market inhaler that never arrived. Then the feed cuts to live footage from 17 other clean zones around the world. Simultaneous marches. Thousands of ex-employees crossing borders, holding documents, demanding recognition. In Zone 8, security is already extracting protesters, dragging them toward transport vehicles. But for every person removed, 2 more step forward. In Zone 15, corporate employees are leaving their offices and joining the protest, adding their voices to the demand for universal air access. The broadcast is working. People are seeing. At 10:17, Helena Voss appears on the plaza. Not in tactical gear. Not surrounded by security. Alone, wearing her perfect gray suit, walking through the gap in the security line like she owns the ground beneath her feet. The crowd falls silent. Helena stops 10 feet from Vera, and for a long moment, they just stare at each other. Then Helena speaks, her voice amplified by the portable speakers we've set up. You're right. Murmurs ripple through the crowd. About the capacity, about the profit margins, about the artificial scarcity. You're right about all of it. Vera's eyes narrow. Then why? Because I was terrified, Helena interrupts. Her voice cracks just slightly. I grew up in the outer belts, Sector 9, before they bulldozed it for industrial expansion. My mother died of respiratory failure when I was 14. My brother and I survived on black market filters and stolen oxygen. She looks at Ryan, standing beside me in the server room doorway. Even from this distance, I can see tears on her face. When I got my first corporate contract at 19, I swore I would never go back. I would do whatever it took to stay inside, to stay safe. And when they promoted me, when they gave me power, I used it to make sure I could never be expelled. Helena turns back to the crowd. But making myself safe meant making you disposable. I knew that. I signed the termination orders. I wrote the policies. I told myself it was necessary, that someone had to make the hard decisions, that efficiency was more important than individual suffering. Her voice drops to barely a whisper, but the microphones catch it. I became the monster I was running from. Silence. Then Vera steps forward. You can't apologize your way out of this. You can't make a speech and expect us to forget what you've done. I know, Helena says, but I can help you finish it. She pulls a keycard from her pocket, the executive override, the one that can access every system in Arimax Global. Broadcast everything, every internal memo, every profit projection, every buried safety report showing that the outer belt air quality could have been mitigated years ago if we'd released the filtration patents instead of hoarding them. She hands the keycard to Vera. Make them see what I refused to see for 20 years. I take Helena's keycard and plug it into the server. The system opens like a flower. Decades of internal documents, executive meeting recordings, engineering reports marked suppress for competitive advantage, communications between Arimax and 47 government officials coordinating the privatization of atmospheric resources, and buried deepest, the patents. 17 different low-cost filtration technologies developed by Arimax engineers, each one capable of producing breathable air at 1/10 the current cost. Every single one locked away, never manufactured, never released. Because cheap air means no one needs to stay employed to breathe. And that destroys the entire business model. I upload everything to the broadcast feed. Across Clean Zone 3. Across all 22 zones broadcasting simultaneously, millions of people are watching their screens as the truth unfolds in real time. The system isn't failing them. It's working exactly as designed. To concentrate wealth, to control populations, to turn survival into a subscription service. At 10:43, the first corporate employee walks out of an office building and crosses the security line to join the protest. Then another, then 50, then hundreds. Security officers are removing their helmets, stepping back, refusing orders to extract the protesters. In Zone 8, the entire security force has laid down their weapons and joined the march. At 11:02, Minister Elias Moncada makes an emergency broadcast from the capital. Effective immediately, Arimax Global will be placed under temporary government administration pending a full investigation into atmospheric resource management practices. All terminations processed in the last 24 months will be reviewed. No resident will be expelled from clean zones during the investigation period. It's a lie, probably. A delaying tactic. A way to calm the protests without actually changing anything. But it's a crack in the facade. And cracks are where revolutions begin. They don't arrest me. They don't arrest any of us. Arresting 847 people in one zone, thousands across the global network, would require admitting that breathing without a contract is a crime worth imprisoning people. Even Arimax's PR department isn't that stupid. Instead, they negotiate. 72 hours of tense meetings between ex-employee representatives, corporate leadership, and government officials who suddenly remember they're supposed to regulate companies, not serve them. The resolution is predictably hollow. A task force to study atmospheric resource optimization. A pilot program allowing 50,000 ex-employees to return to clean zones under provisional residential status. A pledge to explore pathways for releasing filtration patents to independent manufacturers. Nothing binding. Nothing immediate. Nothing that fundamentally changes the system. But here's what did change. People saw. 800 million residents across 22 clean zones watched the broadcast. They saw the capacity charts. They saw the profit margins. They saw the patents gathering dust while millions suffocated. You can't unsee them. Within a week, grassroots networks form in every zone. Employees organizing, sharing information, refusing to work overtime to compensate for optimized staff reductions. Within a month, 3 zones vote to create independent atmospheric cooperatives, pooling resources to build their own filtration systems using the now public patent information. Helena Voss resigns. She's never charged, never prosecuted, She simply disappears from public view. Ryan tells me she's living in the Outer Belts now, volunteering at a community clinic, trying to repair some fraction of the damage she caused. Minister Moncada is investigated, then quietly cleared. His equity stake in Arimax is divested to a shell company he controls. The system protects its own. But Vera becomes something more dangerous than a protester. She becomes a symbol. 6 months later, I'm standing in what used to be an abandoned warehouse in the Outer Belts. Now it's a community filtration hub, built using open-source designs based on the leaked Arimax patents. It's not perfect. The air here isn't as clean Zone 3. But it's breathable. It doesn't burn. Children can play outside without masks for the first time in their lives. Lena is here with me, teaching a group of 20 students how to assemble modular filter arrays. She dropped out of Arimax University 3 months ago, after the administration tried to force her to sign a non-disparagement agreement as a condition of continued enrollment. She refused. If they're afraid of what I might say, she told me, then I must be saying something worth hearing. My brilliant, terrifying daughter. Vera walks over, wiping grease from her hands. She's been working 16-hour days helping build these hubs in Outer Belt communities across the region. We got word from Zone 14, she says. They're building 3 more hubs, using our designs. How many does that make? 47 operational, another 100 in construction. It's not enough. Not even close. There are still billions of people breathing poison. Still millions dying from respiratory diseases that could be prevented. But it's a start. You know they'll try to shut us down eventually, I say. Arimax can't let independent filtration networks succeed. It undermines their entire business model. Vera grins, fierce and exhausted. Let them try. We're not asking permission anymore. She's right. That's what Free Air Day taught us. The system only has power as long as we keep asking it for permission to survive. The moment you stop asking and start building alternatives, building networks, building futures that don't require a corporate contract to breathe, the system loses its grip. It's still a fight. Every day. Every breath. But it's a fight we're finally willing to have. A year after Free Air Day, I receive a message. No sender name. Encrypted. But I recognize the routing signature. Helena Voss. The message is short. I can't undo what I did. I can't bring back the people who died because I was too afraid to act. But I can make sure the next generation doesn't have to make the same choice between survival and complicity. Attached are the access codes to Arimax's global patent vault. Everything they've ever suppressed. Use it. H. The attached file is enormous. Thousands of patents, technical specifications, manufacturing processes, not just for air filtration, water purification, solar energy, carbon capture, medical treatments, decades of technology that could have saved millions of lives, locked away because releasing it would reduce corporate control. I forward the file to Vera's network. Within 72 hours, it's been downloaded 4.2 million times. Engineers, scientists, community organizers around the world are already adapting the designs, building prototypes, sharing improvements. Arimax announces an investigation into unauthorized data access. Nobody cares. The genie is out of the bottle. The knowledge is free. The future doesn't belong to corporations anymore. It belongs to anyone willing to build it. 2 years after I was fired, I stand at the edge of what used to be the border between Clean Zone 3 and the Outer Belts. The line is still visible, a faint discoloration in the pavement where the biometric sensors used to be embedded. But the sensors are gone now, disabled, dismantled, repurposed into components for community filtration hubs. The dome overhead is still there, still filtering air for the 8 million residents inside. But now there are 43 independent hubs surrounding the zone, creating a network of breathable air that extends for miles beyond the corporate border. It's not perfect. There are still vast regions where the air is toxic, still millions of people struggling to survive with inadequate filtration. But the wall is crumbling. Not because corporations decided to be generous, because people decided they didn't need permission. Lena appears beside me, tablet in hand, reviewing designs for a new hub network in what used to be Sector 9, the place where Helena Voss grew up, where her mother died breathing poison. We're going to name it after her, Lena says. The mother, not Helena. Seems right. Yeah, I agree. It does. She looks at me, and I see the same determination that drove her to encode a message in a corporate propaganda video. The same fierce refusal to accept that survival should require a contract. "You know what the strangest part is?" she says. "This whole time, we had the technology. We had the resources. We had the capacity. All we lacked was the willingness to share it." "That's not strange," I tell her. "That's the system working exactly as designed. Then we redesign the system." She says it like it's simple, like it's obvious. Maybe it is. "In my world, the air you breathe used to belong to the company that employed you. No contract, no access, no value to the system, no right to survive. In my world, I spent 30 years building the infrastructure that kept millions safe and billions excluded. I told myself I was saving lives. I was, just not everyone's. In my world, they fired me and told me it was efficiency, progress, the inevitable march of automation, making human workers obsolete. It was a lie designed to make cruelty sound rational. In my world, 847 people decided that breathing without permission was worth the risk. We crossed the border. We broadcast the truth. We made the invisible visible. We didn't win. Not completely. The corporations are still there. The ministers who sold us out are still in power. The system still runs on the logic that some lives matter more than others. But we cracked it. We proved that the scarcity was artificial, that the technology existed, that the only thing stopping universal access to breathable air was the decision, made by people, not algorithms, to prioritize profit over survival. In my world, that decision is being challenged every day. In every community hub built without corporate approval. In every patent released without permission. In every person who refuses to accept that survival should require a contract. Breathing became an act of resistance. And resistance, I've learned, is not a moment. It's not a single day of protest, or a dramatic broadcast, or a heroic sacrifice. It's the daily work of building alternatives, of choosing solidarity over safety, of refusing to accept that the world must be the way it is simply because powerful people profit from it staying that way. In my world, we're still fighting, but now, at least, we're fighting together. And every breath we take without their permission is a victory. This story takes place in 2068, but it started today, in 2025, with every decision we make about who deserves access to the resources that sustain life. It started when we let corporations control infrastructure that determines survival: healthcare, housing, water, energy. It started when we accepted that employment should dictate whether you can afford to stay alive. It started when we prioritized efficiency over humanity, profit over dignity, optimization over justice. In your world, the air still belongs to everyone, for now. But the systems that created my world are being built right now. In employment contracts that tie health insurance to jobs. In privatization schemes that turn public goods into corporate commodities. In algorithms that decide who gets resources and who gets abandoned, all in the name of efficiency. The question isn't whether this could happen. The question is, how long will you let it stay preventable? Every person who loses their livelihood and their healthcare in the same moment is a war. Every resource that gets privatized and turned into a luxury is a step closer. Every time we accept that some people don't deserve the basics of survival because they're not productive enough, we build the cage. My world didn't arrive overnight. It was built gradually, by 1,000 compromises, 1,000 acceptances, 1,000 moments when people chose comfort over resistance. By the time we realized what we'd created, the cage was already locked. You still have time to choose differently. The question is, will you?